Well, we are semi-live here.
Hello.
You got me?
I don't hear you. Hello.
Oh, I got you. Here we go.
You got me?
We are live
I
at
got
the
nothing.
Quaker. You got nothing. Well, they're listening to me, Goon, so you can't. Maybe it's the broken mic. Talk? Oh, man. Goon switching out the mics. We are live here at Quaker Steak Lube. Goon and Ironhead show.
Oh, I do hear you.
Yeah, there you go. And
We're good.
all right, Goon.
Yeah, but the Ironhead is in the house.
The Ironhead is here.
Are we on, Bubba?
We are on. We are live.
Oh, Solanday, the Horseman starts in early
Listen,
on Ironhead, by the way.
I'll tell you what, Goon
I don't know
is.
what's going on here.
You just got a sirloin that delivered about a minute ago, and it's already almost all the way gone.
Well, we're on, buddy.
We're on.
Yes, sir.
So let's get into it real quick. Are we all good? Can you hear us, Ironhead?
Well, I don't know if this is the first time you and I have been on this show, Lennon.
No. We did it once.
Did we, me and you?
Remember we did. It was, and then Booch got in between us.
Oh, yeah.
Booch
He looked like a little boy.
Yeah,
He looked like a goalpost.
a little bald kid.
Oh, no. Is this the
Yeah,
9 overtime
they are
game they're playing
currently
on ESPN
Big
right
Ten. They are on ESPN.
Is this the 9 overtime game?
Big Ten Network. They are playing the 9 overtime. Illinois, Penn State game.
I don't think we need to watch that. So
Why
I don't know if that
why don't
was
they
Jeopardy.
play the one? Why don't they play the one from Ironhead is looking
I
great.
thought that was the good one.
He lost a little bit.
See if there's some buttons on there that could fix around there.
We gotta talk about that game. And I was a freshman. I was on the sideline of that 9 overtime.
Yes.
Lost to Illinois in 2021. It was demoralizing, and I think it was honestly so demoralizing. There you go, and we're starting to sound really good now.
I just popped out there.
Oh yeah, it sounds
there
clear.
We go. It's right here.
And
there we go.
Really, Illinois brought out 8 offensive linemen onto the field. Oh, I forgot about that Curtis Jacobs pick. We had a lot of good players on that team.
Brenton.
Oh man.
Yeah, we don't need to watch that at all.
But yeah. They need to show the one from last year. Luke Altmaier, 4 interceptions, like 160 yards. But anyways,
that, right?
Yeah.
Boy, has he improved since then, huh?
Improved a lot. He has 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and that is the only quarterback in all of college football with that stat line. So he's taking care of the football at a high rate. I will say that. And he is, I watched him. He is definitely more of a – we're scooting in?
Yeah. The head's here.
The head.
We're scooting everybody
now,
over.
I'm what Booch was in the middle.
Stuck in the middle with we have Ironhead and Goon. Ironhead grows up and everybody thinks he has the biggest head known to man, called him Ironhead, and then he meets me.
I will say if you are coming in for homecoming weekend and you're out and about, if you're going through Lamont, be prepared for delays. I was not, and thus scrambling to get here. On the radio front, we are aware the signal is down. We're working feverishly behind the scenes to get that back up and running. In the meantime, locally streaming still at 987thefox.com. I'm not going to bore anybody with the technical details. We're trying to get some things ironed out at the transmitter site as we speak. And yes, it is Penn State, Illinois week. The dear Goon. How many interviews have you done this week?
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I got at least a dozen in me.
I was gonna say you've got to be double digits by this point.
It's a wide variety too. I did a couple of podcasts with some people. I did some just straight up interviews and stuff like that, and just
Well, so there are so many things that, like the 68-69 Penn State teams are, I think, going to forever be remembered, or at least as long as there are Penn Staters out there, will be remembered just because of the landscape that changed as a result of those two teams.
Now you're talking about the landscape. You're thinking about you're speaking of the Eastern.
Yes.
Yeah, the conferences. The Eastern was
and
looked
also
down upon with football.
Well, and also, it obviously launched Joe Paterno into national fame and national recognition as a top collegiate coach. But I think that 94 team, Goon, obviously holds a special place in Penn State lore as well. But the landscape had changed at that point, and it really was. Penn State's move to the Big Ten is what obviously paved the way, for better or worse, to the
to where we're at
rampant
now.
changes we've seen over the last few years now in terms of conference changes. But that 94 team also, as we've been talking about all week, and many have been talking about, that offense clearly goes down as one of the greatest in college football history.
Yep.
I still would put it number one over anything else that's out there before or since, just in terms of its ability to beat you any which way. And as you've talked about, Goon, the thing is, like, you look at the statistics from that season for, like, Kerry Collins and Kachana Carter, and it's fantastic. But the number of times those guys actually played, not just a meaningful snap, just played in the fourth quarter was...
I asked, I honest to God, this has come up this week, and I was talking about it, so I called Kijana, and I said, how many games did you get in, were you really playing into the fourth quarter? Because we would run the first half, and then we would be up so much, and then they'd try to get Pitsy and Archie some carries in the second half. So, like, Kijana was really not in the, but 4 games. Michigan, Illinois, Michigan State to end the year, and the Oregon game. I mean, that's maybe 4 games where he actually had some meaningful carries in the fourth quarter.
What about that nail biter with Indiana, Goon, when you guys just barely held off the Hoosiers?
He was just talking to Atlanta was just talking to me about that. And it's just like we had 2 touchdowns called back. They scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 minutes, and that's
in the last like literally, I mean, garbage time and then some.
Yeah.
And but ultimately, those 2 touchdowns probably cost Penn State the national title. Penn State was one. I don't know. It's hard to know how the Big Ten voters, maybe they were going to screw that team over no matter what. Yeah. But
well, Jeff, I always started with this, and that is what happened the year before, if you recall, was Florida State and Notre Dame. They played each other, and Notre Dame beat Florida State. But then Notre Dame got upset the next weekend by Boston College.
Yeah.
So they played head-to-head. And they still gave Florida State the national championship.
Still split it, yeah.
Because they felt like the media, they felt like Bobby Bowden was owed one because of the years he had put in Division I football. Sort of the same way that the Tom Osborne thing went down in '94. But that people were just like, all right, Tom Osborne deserves a national title. Lo and behold, he wins 3 more the next 4 years. So, I mean, like,
just to give people an idea, I have the schedule up from 1994. The offense, as far as points, 56, 38, 61, 55, 48, 63, 45, 59. I mean, they were just routing people. The offense scored no less than 31 points every single game. This is at least 31 points.
You got to do some research on it. And that's the thing, because you got to research it's really tough finding box scores from back in the day. We've talked about this, Jeff. And I've always wondered, how many times did we punt? And I think we actually have more touchdowns scored than punts that year. And
I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had like 27 punts the whole season. It's like, that's insane. And the way we were doing, we were scoring so fast too. So that was the other thing that a lot of stuff has come up this week and asked about, how would the defense have done in this and that? I was like, dude, every time we needed the defense to step up, they did. That was Illinois. They had to stop those guys from scoring, and they did, thank God. And, at Michigan, we needed a couple stops late in the game, and every time we needed them to jump in, they did. So
the one thing I wanted to ask you about, Goon, is just the mentality going into that Oregon game.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the
Oh yeah.
Like as a team though?
No. We were.
Okay.
We were. I'm answering literally the same question. No, it's all good because the stories are all fresh in my head. It's pretty funny. I've got like 4 calls this week. People are like, yo, dude, what did we do? Did we do that? I'm like, yeah, we started here. It's like everybody's a little older in the tooth, a little longer in the tooth nowadays. So, we're watching that game, and we're watching it. We're in some downtown Los Angeles hotel because it was in like the the downtown market area, like the money area. So there's nobody there on the weekend. It's like the Miracle Mile out in Chicago on a weekend. It's like no one's down there because they're all not working. So it's completely empty, these hotels we're in. We're there, and the snacks say at like 10 o'clock. You know, the old man, if you were there like 10:45, you were actually late. Or if you were there at 9:45, you were late for a 10 o'clock snack. That's just where the old man was. Every one of us, not one of us went downstairs because we were watching that game. And then, you know, we all saw it. It was in like slow motion. That was the thing, because we saw Warren Sapp and Ray Lewis and all these guys, and they were jumping around and dancing all first half because they were killing Nebraska. Nebraska couldn't move the ball, and Miami was slaughtering them. And they're dancing and jumping around, and we're like, dude, it's like 98-degree humidity in there, because you could tell it was a very humid day, and it was the old Orange Bowl, by the way. And you know, lo and behold, we're watching it. And I remember just sitting there. I think I roomed with Marco on the road too, so we were just sitting there, and we're just like, dude, stop dancing, man. Save yourself for the fourth quarter, because you know that's when Nebraska would come back. And Nebraska forever, Lenny, you don't know this, but they hadn't won a bowl game in years. Like, that was their MO. And the MO was the Big 8 schools would go and play their option teams, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and stuff like that, and then go to a bowl game and play somebody with a situated offense or a situated defense and just get smoked. So that was that was the knock on Nebraska for decades. So them really stepped out and, you know, in that fourth quarter, and they were just running fullback dive. And then Miami wanted nothing to do with Corey Schlesinger. Nothing. And we're just sitting there watching. And then the game over, and then he says it. Our boy Bob Costas. Congratulations to the national champion Nebraska Cornhuskers. And we're sitting there like, we didn't play yet, man. We didn't have a shot at this. Nothing. And, you know, I told somebody, I said, you know, that pink guy that Bob Costas got at the Olympics, that was a revenge. It was karma for him.
So you guys then, when you're taking the field against Oregon, like, was it tough to get up for? Or you guys wanted to finish off?
What happened was the worst thing that could have happened. So we went out there, and our mindset, we got to score 100 freaking points. We got to get 100 points. We got to show the world. First play of the game, Kijana goes 83 for a touchdown. Worst thing that could have happened is because we came back and like settled down, and we weren't nervous anymore. And it was just like, we're going to score 100 points on these guys. You know, they stink and this and that. And I got to give Oregon credit, and I always do. They came back and smacked us in the teeth for a quarter and a half. It wasn't until the third quarter that the horses took over, where they just couldn't keep up with us, and the route was on. But for 2.5 quarters, man, they really, really hung with us, and to the point where they were almost leading the game. But then the quarterback threw, you know, Penzenik had 2 interceptions. We had a long kick return for like the 4-yard line and stuff like that. Penzenik returned us like the 5-yard line. So it was like a quick boom, boom, like typical Penn State offense of 94, where we scored like 3 touchdowns in like 7 minutes, and then the game was getting out of reach. So,
I do
Chuck Penzenik. So I have to tell you this story. The Weasel.
Right, educate me.
He's a young 1 year younger than me. So he's Brandon's class, really good friend of Brandon, actually, friend of all of ours. But he was like our 4th or 5th team safety. And he should have been the Rose Bowl MVP, because he had 2 interceptions in the game, and really just set us up. And he broke up a 2-point play before halftime too. So he did that himself. So, little funny story here. I had some older friends at home who enjoyed partaking in the gambling a little bit. So the line was anywhere from 18.5 to 16.5, and they said, let's middle this. So if they had landed on like 17 or 18 points, they would win the over. They would win both bets. And sure as heck, we won 38-20. And they said, if that Penzenik kid is ever in Glenside, Pennsylvania, you tell us, because he will not pay for a damn thing. And I don't care how long he wants to do it. And I've always told Weasel that.
That's a great story.
Yeah, those guys, because he broke up a 2-point play to end the first half.
Yeah.
And then he had the 2 interceptions in the second half. And like I said, the Rose Bowl was tough, because we went out there and our mindset was, you know, we need to win by 100. And that's not the mindset you got to have. You cannot have that in that type of game, because Hey, man, like we always say, they're on scholarship too, so they weren't. That was a pretty damn good team, real good defensively, and they beat us up a little bit for a quarter and a half, but then it's just a matter of time before we took over. And as Kijana would say, they ran blitz. They just blitzed every play. So we were either getting a 1-2 yard gain or a 25-yard gain. So
I know your head was hurting after that when those linebackers are coming downhill. No. All right.
Actually, we scored a couple touchdowns. I had a couple pulls.
Oh.
Yeah, we ran a 48 counter. I still remember to the day. So we ran it twice in that game. He scored a touchdown on it once, but they just came in, blitzed the hole, and I didn't bury the guy or nothing. I just popped him, and he popped him, and Kijana went around, and
all right.
And then we have an interception 3 plays later. We run the exact same play, and we get it down to the 1 yard line. And I will say this: if there's one touchdown in the third quarter, it's Kyle Brady, Keith Conlin, Jeff Hardings, Bucky Greeley. In the backfield is John Whitman, John Carter, and Brian Milne. And I'm telling you, I have nobody on me. So there's a guy on Kyle and there's a guy on Jeff. So we're just going to run a little toss to a little off tackle to the left here. So I stepped to the left, and Kyle had already just murdered this kid. And I'm just sitting there. And I'm going down to help Jeff, and he's murdering his guy. And I'm literally just I think that somehow I was trying to I got reversed. And I just boxed somebody out. I boxed out one of the linebackers, and it was just because the whole side of the line of scrimmage just went wham. And then Whitman just walked into the end zone.
Good.
You know what? This begs the question. I was talking to Spider today, and he showed me that a couple photos, and it was of the offensive line. And you were in the right tackle position in a left-handed stance, and then Andre.
Right. I was always in the right hand.
Are you always in a? No, excuse me. You were. I saw one where you had left tackle in a right hand stance.
Hand down.
But then I saw one where Andre, he was in left tackle, also in a right-handed stance.
All of us.
Goon. Nowadays, if you even thought to have the opposite, I can't get all the way into. I don't want to get too technical.
I got you.
But you'll get whooped. And I just think as a whole, we talk about how great Andy Kotonicki's scheme is now, and how he schemes guys open. And there's all Kyle Shanahan in the NFL, Andy Reid. There wasn't that much scheme, it feels like, back in the day. You guys were just smashing heads, and that's why I feel like everybody just ran the ball, and it was who wants it more. I'll
go to my deathbed saying, because you'll watch, the history of, the Northwestern, that 95 Northwestern team, Jeff. They'll show, the highlights of their, 3 big games that year. So they beat Notre Dame, Michigan, and Penn State in 1 year.
Yep.
The first team to ever do that, by the way. So Northwestern 95. How was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say.
Yeah, talking about offensive schemes and the blocking.
Oh, yeah. So I'm watching those games, and I'm watching Notre Dame's offense, and I'm watching Michigan's offense, and I'm watching Ohio State's offense. We all ran the same stuff. We weren't reinventing the wheel. And I mean, Franny would, he'll say that, we just ran our plays, but. And I'll say this, is that if 11 guys do their job, there's no way that they could beat you. That
team, yes.
And we held each other very, very accountable. We truly did. So, and then you say, I'm playing for my brothers here and this and that. So I don't want to let them down. And that's truly, truly how we felt. I didn't want to be the guy who got beat on a sack. The last time we gave up a sack was Michigan in the fourth quarter. I gave it up, and to this day, I still have a reoccurring nightmare where I'm damn it, you know what I mean? I still, to this day, and that was game 6, and that was the last sack we gave up the whole season.
Incredible.
I love it. You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I do want to ask, because 93 was the first year you guys were in the Big Ten, correct?
Correct.
And everybody, I've heard you say it, I've heard Frank, I've had a bunch of people say it, that before a great team like the 94 team, there was a really good team that just couldn't get the job all the way done.
Yep.
So what did that 93 year, what did that mean to that team? I mean, you guys lost against Ohio State, you lost against Michigan. I'm sure there was a little bit of a feeling of maybe we don't, people saying, yeah, they're a great team, but I mean, they're a good team, but they're not a great team. And they don't necessarily belong with the big dogs.
Yep. And they were really setting us up for that Ohio State-Michigan game because they were the big boys on the block. And I don't think Ohio State was real rabid about us being in the Big Ten. I know Michigan did not like the fact that we joined the Big Ten. That's a proven fact. So we lost, and I have to go back to 92 on this one. We went 5-0, 3 straight seasons. And we lost the 6th game in 92 and 93. We lost to Miami in 92, and we lost to Michigan in 93. Games we should have won. So we learned from them. The Ohio State game in 1993, that was Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson, and there wasn't anybody beating that team until they got slaughtered by Michigan, because Cooper could not beat Michigan in that. But Ohio State was absolutely loaded in 93. Big Daddy Dan Wilkinson, I mean, was enormous and just wreaked havoc on our offensive line. So we learned from that. And then the Michigan game in 94, it was a dogfight, and we're 5-0 again for the 3rd straight year. And we had all talked all week about, hey, we got to get over this hump. You know, we got to get over this hump. So, Jeff, remember in 93 they were throwing penalties on our fans because they were too loud when we played Michigan?
Yeah, it was.
The referee had to tell our fans to quiet down.
At
a college football game, they got on the loudspeaker and said it's going to be a penalty against Penn State if you are so loud that their offense can't hear it. So I think it was Elvis Gerbach or Todd Collins, I think his name was, or Gerbach, would go to the line of scrimmage, and he would go up and yell his count. And then he'd look at the referee like, I can't hear. And they ended up throwing a penalty on the Penn State fans because they were too loud. Now, I'm not.
Wow.
Think about that. Who makes that rule, first of all? And then who makes that rule and who imposes it? Like, but we're just
was that I feel like that was a thing back then, because I know
I've never seen it before or since.
Well,
I think they got rid of it after that because it was such an asinine call.
I mean, it's an awful rule, but I will say, if you look up Barry Sanders, I think when he breaks the rushing record, they got so loud in the Lions Dome that they had to tell him to quiet down. That's the only time I've heard of that. But
yeah, these guys were Michigan couldn't hear their cadence, so
interesting.
They were they penalized the home team, which I never
play of the game.
It was really early, and they just instantly took our fans out of it because people would be screaming, they'd be like, shut up, It was dumb.
Insane.
It was a horrible, horrible thing, and then they actually had a goal line stand on us in 93, so we weren't happy
Penn
about
State fans thought that the conference was demanding that Ohio State and Michigan get the benefit of the doubt. I don't know where that ever came from.
And then I will tell that story in 1994 at Michigan. Kijana goes in from 25 yards out to go up 21-0. And then he ran right behind my back, and I look down on the ground, and I'm like, oh, no. And the referee's like, you're holding. I was like, what? I mean, there was no chance I was holding. I was reach blocking, and then the guy tried to cut underneath me, and I just had my hand, and I just threw him to the ground. And they said, you had a whole hand to claw up on his back. So the story is, did you ever hear this? Me tell the story?
I don't think so.
Oh, my God. This is funny. Are we on the Fox or no?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
So it was the first time I actually heard the old man get a little chippy with a referee. So we got a touchdown call back. So we ended up having to go for a field goal. So instead of 21-0, it's like 16-3 or 16-0 or something like that. So he's furious. He's running at me on the field. And he looked at me and he goes, did the referee tell you were holding? And I said, yeah. And he's yelling at the referee, that's a chicken-esque call. That's a chicken-esque call. And I was like, damn, old man's giving it to him. But then he stopped after he talked to me. So, fast forward 20 years, and it was one of our reunions, and my offensive line coach, Craig Service, was like, I have to ask you, why did you tell the old man that you were holding? I said, what are you talking about? He said, the old man ran on the field and got in my face and said, were you holding? And I looked at him and I said, yeah. But in actuality, I thought the old man was saying, did the ref tell you were holding?
I had forgotten.
And I said, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, you admitted to holding. So the old man, Joe's not going to go after the referee for that. I was like, I was so far from holding. He goes, but you admitted it. I said, I did not admit it. I admitted to the referee. I thought Joe said, did you hold? And I said, yeah. But I thought he said, did the referee say it was you holding? So I agreed to a hold, and I go back on it and I watch that game. You'll see it every once in a while on the Big Ten Network and the '94 game, and it's not a hold. It is so far from a hold, but it's what we expected from. There was definitely an anti-Penn State bias, especially at Michigan. That was their conference. It was Bo's league.
Yep.
And Bo had already bowed out as a coach, so it was Gary Moeller for 2 or 3 years, and then Lloyd Carr.
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like, as a whole, from the poll makers to refs, sometimes that year that it's kind of felt like everybody didn't want you to win? I don't want to go that far, but I'm just saying.
I understand. But no, that was
like everybody was against you almost. I mean,
so then after they called that stupid hold on me, Michigan gets the ball, and it's 16-0, and Gelsheiser got a spearing call right before the half, and they moved him up 15 yards and let them kick a field goal and gave him a little bit of momentum because it was 16-0, and it was the last play, and they had an untimed down where they moved him inside, and he hit like a 40-yard field goal, and it was just like. And it was just like, oh, they said, oh, he led with his helmet and stuff like, and you're just like, come on, man.
I didn't even know that used to be a rule.
Play. He's making a tackle, and he just ran in and finished off the pile, and they called a spearing on Gelsheiser, and then they moved them in, and they got a field goal. So they had a little bit of momentum going into the halftime. So it was 16-3. So they weren't shut out. We were all pissing and moaning, and nothing. The old man, nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it. But they went out there, and then. Tyrone Wheatley, and I have a funny story about this. So I had some friends, the same friends who liked Chuck Penzenik to come to Glenside, Pennsylvania for free. They were out at the Michigan game, and 2 stories about these guys is that, like I said, a couple of them, they were some big players, and I didn't know that at the time. But Lee Corso was there, and then me and my little brother. You always go and try and find out where your mom and dad are, or your people who you got tickets for are, so we were like looking around the family section, like, where are those guys at? And all we hear is Lee Corso, and I think it was Ponyboy, Corso and Ponyboy were the College Game Day guys then. And we hear this voice scream out, "Hey, Corso, pick a winner, you suck." And I was like, that's my guy right there. And I looked up there, and me and my little brother, because we were trying to find him, and we're like, where are they at? And then we heard that, and we instantly zoomed in on it, bang, right there. So, and then those guys are telling me after the game that the one guy they were with, and they were like, he looked at them, and like right before Wheatley went like 75 around right end, he was like, you know what, for 110,000, it's pretty quiet in here. And he was like, no, you didn't. Boom. And Wheatley, the next play, took it for 75-yard touchdown. And it was loud. And then my one buddy looked at the other buddy. He was like, hey, I'm sorry about that. Hey, Corso, pick a winner. But yeah, that was, and then Wheatley ended up going a second long run for a touchdown. So he was legit. And then I don't know what they were doing, Headley, because at the end of the game, the last carry of the game, they gave it to Biakapatuka. Like Wheatley had 180 yards, and I have no idea why they pulled him out of that game and say it was like 4th down and 2 or 3, and they had Biakapatuka in the game. And I never understood what happened or why they did that.
Never heard that name before. That's Tim
Biakapatuka?
Oh, no. Never got that one.
Really?
No.
He was a pretty good NFL player, too.
Yeah, he was
really?
And we're talking about, this is the era when Ohio State would go undefeated with 17 NFL guys on the team, and they could not beat Michigan. Could not beat Michigan. So Michigan was having a real down year. It may have been that year or the year after. They were having – Ohio State was absolutely loaded. All they do was beat Michigan, and they would go play for a national title, right? And Biakapatuka had 350 yards rushing on him one day. It was unbelievable how Ohio State would just choke against Michigan.
Yeah.
Really, really bad. It cost John Cooper his job. I think he only had one win against Michigan. And they were, dude.
Yeah, his record against everybody else was phenomenal.
And the record of his NFL players that he was putting out into the league, oh, my God. And he could not get past them.
Wow. Well,
it's glory days, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll be able to get into that a little bit later tonight.
We have Devin Stills.
Yeah, me and Goon will be out
a little bit about that.
Yeah, me and Goon will be out at Devon Still. He's having a little charity wine outing tonight. Where is that at again?
The University Winery.
University Winery.
Right
there
out of
we
45, out by the cider works and all
Yeah,
that
there
stuff.
we go. So me and Big Goon, we're going to be in there. We're talking shop. We'll talk some more 94 Rose Bowl, talk a little Illinois, and then we'll sit down with Devin Still, interview him a little bit. So that should be a good time. You can check that out on my YouTube channel, Behind the Wall with Landon Tangwall. But let's talk a little bit, I guess, about Illinois. I mean, that's where Penn State's playing this weekend. It is homecoming, and as you can tell, we are talking 94 season as we are honoring the 1994 Rose Bowl champions in between the first and second quarter this coming weekend against Illinois at home against Beaver Stadium, and should be fun. You excited to step out on the field, big guy?
Sure, man. I can't wait.
And it's gonna be a whiteout, pretty much. Coach Franklin, after the Kent State game, went up there still sweaty headed and started calling for whiteout energy. And now here we sit. I'm sure Family Clothesline and Student Bookstore are getting all their white apparel out there. Shout out Student Bookstore.
Took care of you, by the way, with your shirt.
Bring the energy.
Bring the energy, just the energy.
And there's any doubt that'll be it.
Yeah, and it was fun. Nick Dawkins tweeted out wear white, and then he was asked by the media, well, what did you mean by that? And, they're having fun dancing around it. Nick just went on this tangent. It's just the symbolism of the energy. It's just wear white.
White's a nice color.
It's a nice color. So it's fun. All the coaches are getting into it, and it's clear that we want to employ a whiteout. But it should be interesting to see how much of the fan base goes with it. I've seen a couple people on social media be kind of everybody's in, and it's kind of like a grassroots whiteout. Like, it is fan made. There's not as much money involved, because when you pick the whiteout, that goes into the TV deals, that goes into everything. That's what they are valuing. They're valuing that whiteout more. Damn right. There's more fireworks.
There's more fireworks.
The question is, are we going to get out like the little pom poms this weekend? Do you think that'll go? You think we'll do that
across the board, or just the student sections?
Well, no, because we have it across the board for the whiteout. Everybody has almost everybody.
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think they want to do though. They don't want to call it a whiteout.
I don't think so.
They don't want to downplay the actual when we do a whiteout. But yeah, I'm all about it. like Franklin said, it gives the whiteout energy. And by the way, great job on your tweet today, Landon, about Bielema. People, the PSU Barstool Sports or whatever, they put that article about Bielema saying, "What the hell is whiteout energy?" But did you see the whole thing? He's very
he said a lot of really nice things.
He's very prim and proper and very nice about Penn State. And he goes,
he was talking about, he said stuff about Joe and Sid too.
And he goes, I just saw this, and he goes, I'm out in Hawaii back in the day, and I saw Franco Harris sitting there, and he was with Sue Paterno, and he goes, you could just see him as a coach sitting there. I hope that one day me and my wife have the loyalty of players that players do to Joe. I think that's what he was getting at.
Well, Yes, I think he's also, and rightfully so. Listen, I think the fans should take this and run with it, and that's what whiteout energy is. Of course, like that. Yes, go have fun with it. And if Penn State wins at the end of the game, you know what, whiteout, cool. That's part of the game. But I really think what he's doing, and I think rightfully so, is telling his team and his fans, listen, we just went. We've done this. We just went into a ranked opponent, primetime game, great energy. What's the difference between? I think that was his point. Is energy is energy. It's like, is there something special? And Penn State fans will say, "Well, yeah, of course there is. That's whiteout energy." Cool. But his point is, energy is energy. Fans are going to be loud. It's a night environment. It'll be nuts. But you just won. Meaning Bielema telling his team, you just won a game in that exact scenario.
Yep.
Like, we got this. It's not a big deal. The stadium and the fans aren't going to beat you. The whiteout energy is what Bielema's telling his team. Now, again, if I'm a fan, I'm saying, oh, yeah, we are going to beat you. Wait until you see the timeouts that you're going to have to take because of that whiteout energy that you don't know about. Like, that's the fun of college sports. I love Brett Bielema myself. I think he's a terrific coach. I think one of the things that is going to be really interesting to see in this game, and you touched on it, Landon, a little bit earlier, and then we will take a break. I see now we're a little past due. But this is where I think we will truly start to see the and I still am of the belief that Penn State has an elite offensive coordinator and an elite defensive coordinator. And when I say elite, I mean, like, I think these guys are among the top 5, 6 coordinators in the country on each side of the ball. I truly believe that. We'll see how the season plays out. But I think this is the game, with Kotelnicki in particular, where you're going to start to see, okay, man, this is what they were setting up, and this is where they're going to take advantage. I think Illinois has some very good defenders. I think Penn State is going to put them in a position as the game unfolds. I'm not saying right out of the gate. I'm saying Kotelnicki is going to throw some stuff out there. Let's see what Illinois does. We will adjust. And because of the different ways that I think Penn State feels now it can attack, it's going to be, I think, fun for fans to watch and for this team to see develop as the game goes along.
Yep.
And again, I could be proven wrong, but I really think this is where you're going to start to see.
I want to add something to what you're saying.
Thrive, and I think they're going to get Singleton in space a lot more than anybody on Illinois' side is anticipating going into this thing.
So I don't mean to cut you off, but you're perfectly segueing. And then Mark Brennan from 24/7, when I do my predictions on there, I just said, offensively, we're going to have them spinning around. And he goes, did you see what Kotelnicki did to Illinois last year when he was at Kansas?
Yes.
I mean, it was 34-3 before Illinois scored 2 late touchdowns to make it somewhat into a football game. But Kotelnicki had those guys spinning. So, and now he has that, and then he has the weapons that he has at Penn State, and you just imagine what's that mad scientist is thinking. So
I think so. I think you're right, Ironhead, too, where he's going to get creative with Nick Singleton. I think Amari Evans, you're just going to start to see in more motion situations, getting him the ball in space where it's not just a deep shot. Although I do love the fact that we've taken at least 1, sometimes 2 deep shots to Amari Evans in every single game so far. So we are stretching the field. And therefore, when the field stretches, the defense has to respect that a little bit more. They stretch back, and now Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, they're able to get going a little bit more.
Please.
I love to see it. It should be fun.
The only thing is, Penn State's got to find a tight end so that you can take advantage of that middle ground somehow, some way, Landon. At some point,
we'll get there.
Eventually,
we'll get there.
I do think. Listen, that is one of the things, right? You figure Illinois goes into this game saying, my God, Tyler Warren, like, what do we do? And I think you almost have to overcompensate. And when you do that, a couple of things. I think it will help open up the running game and some opportunities for the receivers. And I'm thinking in particular the Julian Flemings, the Liam Cliffords of the world. But I also think you're going to want to keep an eye on Khalil Dinkins and Luke Reynolds in this game, because I do think there's going to be opportunities for them. And by the way, I'm not saying Illinois is going to take Tyler Warren out of the game. I don't think that's possible. But I do think there's going to be some opportunities here. Yes. But I do think because of that, because of the focus that I think Illinois will have on Warren, that there's going to be some real opportunities for some other guys, and in particular, the other tight ends and kind of those 3-4 guys at the wide receiver spot.
True that.
All right, we're going to take a break here. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. We are at Quaker Steak and Lube. We love being here. We love it so much. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon from 2 to 4 o'clock. We come on down and have a great time, enjoy the great food and beverages and the outstanding service here at Quaker Steak and Lube. And we're back to talk a little more Penn State, Illinois, and the rest of the college football weekend. Some other games of note out there. I guess there's some people that could be watching, SEC game instead of Penn State, Illinois. It's possible somebody could do that. We'll talk about all of that and more as we continue with our Thursday afternoon show. My gosh, we're further along than that.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back, maybe. We're just figure ourselves out here. I think we got stuff going here, buddy. We're a mess.
We are a mess.
Damn.
All right, we are back at
I hope
Quaker
the
Steak Lube.
team's more ready than we are. Jeez, Louise.
It's the mental mistakes that are killing us, Goon. It's the mental mistakes.
I agree.
That's a good. Hey, that is a good point, though. We definitely cannot come out sleepwalking against this Illinois team because after
scooch in a little bit.
Oh.
After I think everybody got a good look at them Friday night because that was the main game, and my biggest takeaway, I said, wow, this is a well-coached team. This is not a team that I want to go in and have a sloppy game, have turnovers, start slow. So I know it's easy to say, but there definitely have been some games, even this year with Bowling Green, where it took a little bit for us to get going. And it feels like every game Andy Kotonicki starts to kind of take over and his scheme really starts to wear down a defense. But I just think that it definitely is a point of emphasis is start fast. And that is something that Coach Franklin does emphasize a lot, and that's actually why we do a start fast period to start practice. That's what we call you go out, you stretch, and before anything else, after the stretch, there is a period, whether it's one-on-one, D-line versus O-line, in front of the whole team. Maybe it's a linebacker and running back, and they kind of do a tackling drill, or one-on-ones, wide receiver and DB. And that's how we started off. And it starts off with competition, and it kind of gets everything going. So that is the emphasis there, is to start fast. So I think there will be an emphasis from Coach Franklin and the gang to really get going.
Well, and I think there's a couple of things. I'm not overly concerned about the team not being ready to go. Now, whether the execution is there or not, but two things. I know the Joe Paterno's old adage about the most improvement is between the first and second game, but there's no question to me the best game this season was West Virginia. And I think part of that was West Virginia had Penn State's attention. That they went in there knowing they had to go play a good football game.
Yep.
They were, concerned about
some weird
the
circumstances in that game.
That. Yep. And so while not thrilled with the first half performance for sure against Bowling Green, and really not thrilled with the start against Kent State, I do think part of that is, the human nature and whatever. It hard to not feel, if you're on the Penn State side of things, that those were games you were going to win going in. I think Illinois has their full attention. Off to the 4-0 start, getting that win at Nebraska. They've won 2 games over teams that were ranked. Now, whether Kansas, when you look back at it at the end of the year, should have been ranked, probably not. And again, we'll see. I am curious to see how Nebraska kind of responds here moving forward. But regardless, this is an Illinois team that comes in with a lot of respect and a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum. But also, I'm sorry, you are not coming out, whether it's a defined whiteout or not, you are not coming out to a stadium with 109,000 rabid fans and the night atmosphere there and sleepwalking your way through the first quarter. Right? It's not humanly possible. Now, my concern is more, let's not get too jacked up, and can we finally in game 4 get everybody understanding where you need to line up on the line of scrimmage. Let's not have offsides penalties because you just didn't line up in the right place, or because you're chopping. Like the unforced errors, 3 weeks in, they still haven't, or 4 weeks in, 3 games in, they still haven't been able to rectify that. I have no doubt it has been a constant point of emphasis this week in practice, but it needs to show up Saturday night. This is a game where, listen, I think Penn State's going to be, I actually think the point spread, while I'm surprised it's as high as it is, I think they're going to be right in that neighborhood. I do think Penn State is a substantially better team than Illinois, and I think that's going to play itself out Saturday night. That being said, you don't want to give a team that comes in here as well coached and with as much confidence as Illinois is going to, hey, here's a free 5 yards there. Whoops, there's 15 yards for you. Oh, kicked it out of bounds. Yeah, great, get great field position. You don't want to horse around with that stuff. You want to, let's play this even up, take care of business, and I think if Penn State does that, they're in very good shape.
Very much so. I mean, and then we talked about it Tuesday, and that is that we better be ready for Illinois to come out, because I think that Bielema is going to try to make this into a dogfight, and he feels as if because what happened 2 years ago when the 9 overtime game, or 3 years ago, whatever, he hit, put 7-8 guys in the backfield, offensive line, and said, you guys aren't tough enough to beat us. And that's the bottom line. So he's going to come in here with that same attitude. And we didn't have the answers then, but we sure as hell better have the answers this week, because when they start bringing 8-9 guys in, we better have a bigger defensive front coming out there. We're going to get smacked around. And I don't think that Bielema's going to change that attitude. I think that he's going to come around here and try to do the exact same thing that he tried to. I mean, that's just how he played. That's how he played, and that's how he coaches. And he is just going to line up man to man, and we're just going to beat you. You're not going to. It's going to be a fight, and you're going to be fighting for every yard.
Yeah, they're going to try to run downhill, and they're going to test the Penn State linebacking core that, I mean, honestly, up to this point, actually has had some struggles this year, a little bit more than we kind of thought. and now you don't have Dom DeLuca, it seems, for this game. Don't know how long he's out.
Yeah.
But we've talked about running that 4-2-5 defense and taking away one of those outside linebackers, and it was mainly that Sam position where Dom DeLuca was playing, and then entering in Zakee Wheatley, or, Zakee Wheatley then goes back to safety. Jalen Reed is able to bump down into that nickel cornerback. It's kind of a hybrid safety linebacker position, and it allows you to be really creative. Well, now KJ Winston is injured, so that gets taken away there. You kind of have to rely a little bit more on a freshman in Dejon Lane, who has played really well. And Franklin said before the season started, we're going to burn this guy's red shirt. So they clearly have some confidence in him, but it doesn't matter how good a young freshman is. He doesn't have the instincts nor the talent that KJ Winston has, who, in my opinion, KJ Winston is the best player on the field when he steps on the field. So add that into the equation. No Dom DeLuca. Now you're having to kind of rely on a Dakar Nelson, a younger guy, stepping into that Sam linebacker role. And I think Brett Bielema is kind of excited coming in this game. We're probably going to run the ball.
He is.
And then on top of it, I have a quarterback who is taking care of the ball and operating my offense at an extremely high clip. And I said this at the beginning of the show. He has 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. He is the only quarterback in all of college football with those numbers. So this kid is a game manager for sure. And he, like I said, he's going to take care of the ball, and they're going to try to run it with their big running back, Caden Fagan, who is 6'3", 250, is how he is listed on the depth chart. So there's a test at hand for this Penn State defense.
And look at the weather Saturday night, too.
A little rainy.
I mean, I know that Beaver Stadium holds up very well in the rain. It's not going to be a muddy game, but it's going to be a wet game. And that, bigger people, bigger, stronger people, and you take the speed away from certain people. And that's their game, and you take that away by putting it in the wet, rainy conditions. And this game scares me. That does. I don't know where the 17.5-point line came from. I really don't, because everything it's lining up. It goes towards Illinois. I mean, they're going to try and make it into a dogfight. They're going to try, and it's going to be in the rain. They have a 230 to 240-pound running back. They're just going to try and Ironhead Craig Hayward the thing down the field, in my opinion. And if Penn State can just man up and take that offense away, I don't think that they have many options after that.
I think you're right, and I think a little bit of.
And I like their quarterback.
Yeah, Altmaier's good. I think.
Well, what did he do last year, Lennon?
He threw 4 interceptions and about 150 yards. I do want to emphasize, as we're talking about how great his stats look, I think that's a little bit of an over-representation of how good he is. I don't think he has made that big of a jump. I just think he's in an offense that's very beneficial to him. I was watching a ton of tape before I came here. I told you, a lot of his touchdowns are like jump balls to his wide receivers, and he's just taking what the defense gives him. And so, he's definitely a good player, and he's improved, but I don't think he is the almighty. I don't think he's better than Drew Aller or anything even close to that, honestly. So I'm just curious to see what type of offensive game plan Illinois is going to come into this game with. But then, also looking on the other side of the ball, we've struggled to create turnovers a little bit with our defense up to this point. Now, when we needed them at Bowling Green, they came through. Zakee Wheatley with the pick that then turned into the next play, Nick Singleton touchdown, and that Tony Rojas diving interception was amazing. But no turnovers against Kent State last week. And Illinois is pretty much the opposite of that on defense. They have 7 interceptions on the year up to this point. They had 7 all of last year. Now that's a little bit inflated. They had like 3 interceptions in one game, but I'm just saying it looks like they are a little bit of a splash defense, and a defense that lost Witherspoon and Newton. They're really two really good players on the defense, one at defensive tackle, one at cornerback. And I had the 24/7 insider for Illinois on, and he said to me, he basically thinks that their defense could just be just as good or maybe even better. And they gave Dylan Raiola a run for his money last week. He's a freshman, but that Dylan Raiola kid, I think he's the real deal. And Matt Rule, you saw what happened in overtime where Nebraska just went backwards. So you can just tell, especially going into overtime, that team, this Illinois team, is emotionally ready and emotionally prepared. And what that tells me is they have a lot of seniors. They are a team that has great leadership. And obviously with Brett Bielema as their head coach leading them, that's a guy I'd follow. I'm going to be honest. I like him.
Yeah, I do too. I think one of the things that is going to be very intriguing for fans to watch in this game Saturday night is that Penn State defense. And, we talked all offseason about the depth that Penn State has. Well, depth is tested a little bit here with KJ Winston's injury in particular, depth in the secondary. And Altmaier's numbers have been impressive. He's throwing for more yards, higher percentage, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions than Drew Aller. All very comparable. It's not like golf there, but I think everybody would agree Aller's having a good season. Well, Altmaier in every one of those statistical categories is just a little bit better to this point in the season, and probably against better competition to this point. Again, Kansas was ranked. I don't know at the end of the year that we're going to look back and say, yeah, that was really a quality win, but see how it plays out. But that I think is a suspect ranked victory. And same thing with Nebraska at the moment. I think Nebraska is going to end up being a good team, but good being like 8-4 type of good. And I think that'll be a quality win on the road for Illinois when we look back on it. But again, that's just guessing right now.
I think that the Nebraska-Colorado game just flip-flopped this year, where Colorado beat Nebraska last year. Everybody's like, okay, Colorado's for real because Nebraska's legit.
Yeah.
And then ended up being Nebraska was not that good last year, and Colorado was horrendous. And then they just flip-flopped this year. How good is Illinois or how good is Nebraska? They beat Colorado, but then they go out to Illinois and they lose in overtime.
Well, yeah, you got the hype from the Dylan Raiola kid and him being Mahomes and Matt Rule in his second year. Absolutely. And it was kind of all mounting. So I think you're right, but I don't think Nebraska is at all the real deal yet.
So I do think I was listening a little bit to Late Lunch with Chris Buchanani on the way in here from 1 to 2 weekday afternoons on Sports Radio 98.7.
Oh, really?
I think about a signal.
When I hear him give that intro, it almost gives me like chills. I really like it. I hear it when I'm in the Fox studio, and I'm like, dude, Chris has mastered his commercial. Sorry. Continue.
No, it is. It's fantastic. So the one thing. One of the things that I think is I'm really curious to see. I mentioned earlier, I still believe that Penn State has elite coordinators. I think both Tom Allen and Andy Kotelnicki are among the best in the business at what they do. But I do think this is going to be a test for both of them in different ways. But for Tom Allen in particular, with Winston out and presumably Don DeLuca out. I'm assuming that's the case. And I think DeLuca, again, things vary game to game and what you're looking for, but I think we're all in the same mindset that we're expecting Illinois is going to come out and try to bludgeon Penn State over the course of 4 quarters and then take their shots where they can. Again, I think that's why they feel good, is it's like, hey, it doesn't have to be just the running game, but if we can get the running game going, look out. Because Illinois' recipe for the victory here on Saturday night is clearly ball possession, win the turnover battle, and just limit the opportunities here for Penn State to get going with its offense. And if you can get a turnover or two, and you can get, even without a lot of points, keep the sticks moving more often than not on your drives. You get 2 or 3 first downs per drive if you're Illinois. Again, they're setting themselves up for the recipe for success. I think on the defensive side, what I'm really interested to see is because I think to a large degree, Illinois is looking at that Bowling Green game and saying, boom, that's what it is. We can do what Bowling Green did, just a little better. We have a little better athletes. We have a more overall, we're just a better offensive unit. And I think they looked at that offensive line of Bowling Green, and I think they're saying to themselves, all right, we go in here and do that. So what I think is going to be interesting is what does Tom Allen do to change things up defensively, schematically, to try to create some problems, both to get pressure on Altmaier, but really to try to shut down or at least limit that running game of Illinois. Where do you bring the pressure from? How much do you mix it up? You know, what personnel do you use depending on down and distance situations? All of that stuff I think is going to be fascinating to watch, because I think Illinois thinks it has the recipe. And you have to believe, right? Tom Allen's looking at this and saying, all right, this is what we need to do to change up if we get into a situation like we had against Bowling Green earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think fundamentally, if you're Tom Allen, obviously we were just mentioned there's a couple injuries, so schematically you don't feel as comfortable maybe bringing in some heavy blitzes where normally you say, hey, I have KJ Winston on the back end to make up for any, late step or something like that. Well, now it's Dejon Lane, who's a freshman, which, like I said, coaches have a lot of confidence in him, but still it's not KJ Winston. So there is a little bit of that. And I think as a team, you have confidence in a young guy, but, if I am denied Dennis Sutton, if I am Abdul Carter, there's a little bit of pressure on me this game to perform. It's like, okay, a couple guys down at the other levels of the defense. We were hyped up. We both got our first sack last week, so we are starting to feel like, okay, I think there's a little bit of a mental piece as a player, not offensive lineman, because we don't ever get to get in the stat sheet. We just look at the rushing yards, and that gets us excited.
You're in a stat sheet, we're in trouble.
Yeah, we're not in a good place. So you don't want to see us on the stat sheet. But anybody else, you start to look at that stat sheet after 2-3 weeks, and if you're a Denier Abdul, who are both looked at as possible first-round guys, and you don't see a sack, it starts to kind of get to you. So I think both of them registering a sack last week was really big. But now coming into this Illinois game, the offensive tackles they're pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's like you guys are elite, and it was a complete reload from from Chop Robinson and Adisa Isaac to Abdul and Deni, and it's like, all right, this is the game where you need to feel it in Beaver Stadium. Right. The crowd's going to be loud. Get after Luke Altmaier and make him a little bit uncomfortable.
You were there when we went to the 9 overtime game when they were putting 8 offensive linemen in the backfield.
Oh my God!
How come we didn't have any answers for that? Defensively, it just felt like we were just like, okay, well, we have our team on the field.
I mean, I'll be honest,
mashed around.
It wasn't expected.
But I get it.
It was not expected.
We couldn't do anything on the sideline type of thing, and that's where I'm a little freaked out by. But I feel as if Allen's going to be he's ready for that. I mean, that's why I personally think that there's nothing that Bielema can come in and do that Penn State's not going to be ready for, in my opinion. That's where I think the 17-point spread comes in, because he's going to try and come in and make it a dogfight, and I just think that Penn State has much better dogs nowadays than we did 3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I think that's the point. Also, I mean, I don't think he'll try to run it as much. He didn't have Luke Altmaier at the time. But I think, and Ironhead said this earlier, I think it's going to be one of those things where we kind of have control. It stays close. You start to get towards the end of the third quarter. We go up by 10. They make a mistake. Yep. Then we're up by 17. Going into that's how I see it kind of rolling, where the first 2 quarters, it's like, it's like, okay, it's close. But we always kind of have the lead, and then we start to snowball in the fourth quarter. And I think that is where everybody's starting to see this, 18, 19-point spread, because I think that's how, I guess, odds makers see this game kind of ending towards the end, where they have a good scheme, all that great stuff, great coaching, but that only takes you so far. Penn State just has more talent on the field than Illinois does, and that's just a simple fact.
What was going on, and we just didn't have the horses 3 years ago?
Oh, man, I don't know. That was honestly one of the most – I said this multiple times. That was the most embarrassed I've ever been walking off a football field. I forgot looking at it. I forgot we were like number 7. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. We lost to Illinois. I mean, that was a bad day. Well, it was homecoming, too.
But I do think that one of the things that has to be going on this week in those practices, right, is that, hey, this is – like football is a mano-a-mano. It's a tough guy sport. Like Penn State, like that defensive line in particular, both lines, I guess, but that defensive line, like, you have got to step up and just no. We are not letting Illinois come in and push us around. Like that's just not happening. Not in our house. Not ever. And so part of this, I think, is just getting the right mentality. And again, it's one thing to say it, it's another to go out there and do it. But I do think this team, like, they need to just go out and do it. They need to control the line of scrimmage, regardless of what Illinois brings in terms of that offensive front.
I think that's what our coaching point has been for all week. Now,
that and don't make stupid mistakes.
We might be the freshest team in college football right now. A bye week and then a laugh for last weekend.
Which is so strange that we're so banged up. That you see this team so banged
up. Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, the guys that are hurt, I get. But
but I'm just saying. I mean, you would –
that's true.
But, yeah, it's
I hope this is one of those years where everybody's hurt all the time.
The guys that are going are fresh.
Quick, one thing real quick. I will say the reason why they were able to do it, and I think why Brett Bielema felt so comfortable doing that in 2021, the week before Iowa – PJ Mustipher was then out for the rest of the year. They came in not already a week.
His fake knee injury?
I love busting on PJ. That's my favorite pastime. But we were already weak at defensive tackle. PJ went out. Brett Bielema said, "Hey, let's get after it."
Where was Hawk?
Yeah,
Hawk was on the sideline in street clothes, probably.
Come on, Hawk. Needed you that day, bud.
Take a break here. You're listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead, hopefully sometime soon on WFXS Plus Gap State College. And we're back with more in mere minutes.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon, getting ready for the Big Ten opener for Penn State football, as well as the homecoming game and the honoring of the undefeated, should have been national champion, will be national champions in our hearts forever, 1994 squad. Again, we touched on a little bit on Tuesday, but what are your thoughts on the Penn State recognizing that team as national champions? I mean,
a lot of people have been asking me that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how do we hollow? But I don't know. But I wasn't on the team. Obviously.
But how do we go and just say, okay, now we're going to declare us national champions? And what? How was that changed? Did it say now Joe Paterno's a 3-time national champion coach? Is that what we're going to do? Because you're the one who pointed it out. We are the Sagarin Wall Street Journal or whatever, New York Times national champions. So they declared us those national champions.
That's
because
right.
Well,
the computer polls, which is what they ended up using, the polls for the old school bowl championship series.
It is the only New York Times poll I'm even aware of ever in the history of the sport. Was
Correct.
The 1994 New York Times.
Hey, but I ran with it. We ran with it though. There was a big sign up there.
Yeah.
1994 New York Times national champions.
Yes, there
Didn't
was.
they hand out national championship stuff on the sideline at all?
Yeah, Phil Knight was on our sideline and handed out Nike.
That's right.
Because that was a big thing. Because Oregon, that was
Yeah.
a Phil Knight game. That was Oregon and Penn State. They were his two babies, man.
Yeah,
because we were the first team to wear the Nike uniforms. Phil, he did love Joe, and there was definitely that. But
I heard shoes too, like the cleats. You guys got in pretty early on that.
We always did. Yeah, we were the first team to be all Nike.
Yep.
And then Nike didn't do uniforms until 1994.
Interesting.
Maybe 93. I know there's pictures because you could actually tell. I can tell you by what uniform we're wearing, because I think we were wearing Champion or Russell, and then Nike got into it. And I could tell by the logos that they had, because in 94, we had like a big black, like almost like a sticker logo. And then by 1995, it was just a swoosh on the jersey. So they had gotten rid of the patch where they actually said Nike and then had the swoosh, to just putting the swoosh on the uniform. But it was, was I talking? I mean, again, all these interviews are running together, Jeffrey. So I was telling a story, and they're like, when did you realize that you didn't win the national title? And that was, I'm walking off the field against Oregon, and it was surreal because it was like, wow, we just won the Rose Bowl. And it was like, yeah, but we didn't win the national title.
And it was an undefeated season.
Yeah, and it was just like, it just felt hollow. You know what I mean? I was just like, man. And then I was walking, I think the kid number 93 for Oregon, big D tackle, was like, dude, you guys are the best team we ever seen. There's no doubt. And he goes, you guys are national champions. And I was like, I appreciate that. And then the minute I realized that it wasn't happening, because the other second poll did not come out until the day after the Rose Bowl at like 5:00 at night. So there was still that outside chance that maybe they might do something right. And the coaches might vote, Patern to get another national title because, we deserve some, because they had done it twice in the 90s.
Yeah,
90 and 91, there was 4 champions there, so it wasn't an unheard of thing. But the fact that they just
unheard of it was, I mean, that is what
the
norm was. If you had two teams,
what gets us is how they just dropped us to number 2 after winning. You didn't do anything to drop, and that goes back to the Colorado and Nebraska game, and I'm sorry, the Colorado Michigan game when Westbrook makes that.
Yeah,
long Cordell Stewart, long bomb catch. If they don't catch it, then Michigan is ranked higher than Colorado. So our win over Michigan was better than their win over Colorado. Yep. It just got stupid. But I go out to the parking lot, and my parents spent a lot of money to get out to California. They call, and then our plan was to meet them at their hotel. And obviously, California. They stayed in the hotel that could have been an hour and a half away. I mean, that's just how big that area is. So I go outside, and my dad's like, hey, why don't you guys take a cab over here? I'll give you the money when you get here. So we're like, all right. So, I mean, I would have rather had stayed with my buddies and partied in the hotel, but, your mom and dad are there. You got to go take care, got to go do the respectful thing. So I go outside, and there's a guy in a limo. The limo driver's punching the hood of his car, and he's like, son of a rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, well, my fare, it left. It's not here. And I was like, well, how much? I got to go to this place. He's like, $300. I said, bro, I got one of these brand new Nike hats right here. It says national champions at $150. You drive me and my brother to that hotel. He goes, bro, I got 4 of those hats already. He goes, it ain't worth nothing. He goes, I'll do it for $200. And I was like, you still want the hat, dude? And it was just like one of those things that I was like, this guy was like, yeah. He's a businessman, and he realized that we weren't really we weren't going to get it. And then we were at my mom and dad's that night, and then the next day we actually had spent the night in that hotel, and we hung out with them, and we waited until the next morning for the next poll to come out. And there was an outside chance that we could have gotten a split, and it wasn't happening. And it was like one of those like most demoralizing things. And then did you ever hear what happened after that? And that was, we were coming back, and Penn State was like, we're going to have the biggest national championship parade since 1986. The 82 guys got it. The 86 guys got it. the 94 team deserves a parade. So we're all like, all right, cool. You know, they're going to treat us to, you know, a number one parade. Blizzard Friday, cancel the parade.
Yeah.
And that parade never, ever, ever happened. I actually forgot about that until the other day. And like I said, a lot of us were talking to each other, trying to remind each other of all the stories from back in the day. Did I do this? Did I do that? Who did that? You know, and then I was like, dude, I forgot we were supposed to have a parade. And someone was like, yeah, it got snowed out. And I was like, dude, you're right. I do remember that. And it was like one of those like final slaps in the face, like, hey, your number one parade is here, and then no, we're not going to have it. Yeah,
but they never rescheduled.
They never rescheduled it. Nothing.
I remember we were talking about it on the radio. It's like, well, why is it not?
I think the old man just said, we're going to move along. We're going to move on, and then it was, and then they got us the national championship rings. That can't say national champions, so we have a number one ring that says undefeated champions. What does that mean?
Are you gonna wear your ring this weekend?
No.
Okay, I was just curious. I was gonna wear my Rose Bowl ring. No,
your Rose Bowl ring's the size of my head.
I know it's like double. It's probably double the size of yours.
Absolutely, dude. There's no doubt about it.
I said that this morning. I said, you know, I think my ring probably looks cooler, but yours is a little bit better of a story.
The 82 is a very, very tiny little ring, but it is absolutely beautiful. The 86 one's perfect. Ours is very nice, but the ones you guys got, it's
enormous. Almost too much. Yeah.
Almost.
Oh, you know.
When you can wear it on two fingers, man.
I'll tell you, I never forget when we got the Outback Bowl rings, because now you get rings no matter.
So bad.
And they have to say to you, you know, guys, don't post the rings because it's not really a good look, but we have to get them because we signed the contract. They're going to give us rings. And so I remember, I actually still have it in my car. It's just in my glove. You know, so if anybody wants to break in and steal it, go for it. I'm not going to miss it at all.
I got some of them.
Those losses, bowl rings, they're basically trash.
So my very good friend, his son plays for Michigan. They got 4 rings last year. Big Ten championship rings, college football playoff rings, national championship rings, and there was a 4th one, I think, that they gave him for playing in the college football playoff, like getting in the playoffs and then getting into the final. And it was just like, but like Jeff can attest to this, and Sarah, you can also, is that when we were younger, up to like 15 years ago, you saw somebody with a big ring on their hand, and you were like, hey man, what is that? And now it's like, well, I'm a Little League coach, and we had 7 wins, and we won this like tournament down in Somerton, Philadelphia, and we all got these, and it's just like, oh yeah, my 7-year-old kid has the same ring, and you're just like, and you're looking at it because I swear to God, the ring, you would see a ring, and you'd be like, hey man, what is that? That's a beautiful ring. Can I see that? And they give you the story. Yeah. Now it's like, my high school. I threw 7 interceptions one game, so, you know, and the rings are just absolutely beautiful. And then no offense, and the Rose Bowl rings you guys got are absolutely gorgeous.
No, they are. They're just huge. Yeah, it's a lot. It's heavy on the finger.
Pat wears his around, and I'm like, how do you not like my thing is when I got married, I moved my ring. If I ever did wear the ring, I had it moved with my right hand. Then you shake somebody's hand with one of those nuggets on there. I mean, you just start crushing fingers. And I can't imagine what you guys have when you guys are, if it's on your right hand and you shake somebody's hand with that thing on, it's going to crush your fingers.
You're hurt.
It is. It's huge. I know.
Yeah, so let me try to think now. And I got some funny stuff. Yeah, I know. There's smoke coming out of my head. So I got I think I have 4 to 5 rings. I got the inaugural Big Ten season in 1993.
You guys got it. So you got a ring for joining the Big Ten?
Yeah, it was just, I think it was like the school gave it to us. It was nothing. It wasn't big diamonds. It was just a very goldy with a little blue, whatever blue is.
Yeah.
One of those things. Is it sapphire?
I don't know. Is it? Sapphire's blue, right?
Sapphires were, I thought maybe.
Maybe it is. Sapphire's red.
Huh?
No, blue.
No, sapphire. Right?
But sapphire's red, isn't
it? It's blue sapphire.
Oh. Whatever. Yeah, so it's one of those things that it was like it was the Big Ten inaugural season. That was a pretty cool one. I got the 4-year Letterman ring. When we played, it was watches. Every bowl game was watches.
We still get
and
watches.
They were like,
both.
I remember the Rose Bowl gave us a watch, and they were like we're not small people, and like the watch was like wouldn't even fit, like the bracelet wouldn't even fit my mom. And I'm like, dude, what? And they hand out like these things. They're like, oh, there's some extensions on here, and I'm like, I'll never wear this watch. Just put it in I have it up in a display case in my closet in my house. So the watches were just horrendous back in the day. But I got one of them, and then when I came back in 05, I got an 05 ring. And that was the first ring that they had given out since the 94 team, I think, honestly. Because there was a 4 out of 5 losing seasons right there. So no one was getting anything.
Nobody was getting anything. So late 90s were not too great time in State College.
Well, we were number 1 in the country in 99.
Oh, okay.
And then 2000, we went from 2000 to 2004. We had 4 losing seasons.
Oh, no. Not
something
happy
like that.
times.
Yeah, it was bad. It was the dark times. But I also say, so I actually got a phone call about this the other day from my buddy down in Philadelphia, who's an old sportscaster. He goes, you made a great point. And that is when I talked to Pooch, and Ironhead, you've heard me say this, is that once you go join a new conference like Nebraska did, there is a lull in about 5 or 6 different years because you literally have to change up your whole, like your recruiting is completely changed. Like Nebraska now needs to recruit more to Midwest and into the East, because that's where they're playing. Where before they were going down to Texas and getting a lot of their players in Oklahoma, Nebraska, Iowa type of thing. They were getting all those kids. They're still getting some of them. But what they did is that when you join a conference, you open up your state and your recruiting area to the rest of, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State to come in. And so I think that's where our lull started. So we got it in 93, and by 2000, that's when we went downhill for like 5 years. But Nebraska's still on that downward slide. They can't seem to start to get that trajectory up.
Yeah, I didn't know,
you'll see this with like Texas A&M joining the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma. I'm interested to see.
Yeah,
how they're
Texas,
how they're
especially because they're number 1.
No, you're right, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. I wonder how the Big Ten is going to handle adding these many teams. Are they going to try to push out? I would normally say Rutgers, but Rutgers is have a damn good year up to this point. But I am curious to see how they're going to go about that. I mean, there's a lot more competition, and now it really is more. You played the same teams every year before. Now it's a little bit more luck of the draw because we were talking about Rutgers. There's a chance Rutgers has like 1 loss, and it's like maybe none.
Tell me where.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I want you to go. I went through that schedule on Tuesday, and I said, dude, they could win every one of these games.
And they don't have to play Penn State. They don't have to play Michigan. They don't have to play Ohio State or Oregon. So that's kind of crazy.
That's a perfect dodge right there.
We are at least playing USC
Washington,
and Ohio State. Washington's, Illinois is decent clearly, and it's quite. I mean, Oregon plays some tough games and has so. No, there is. It's kind of a luck of the draw now at the schedule with this 12-team playoff. One other thing that I want to segue into real quick that I think is the biggest news pretty much in all of college football and talking about the college playoff a little bit. UNLV's quarterback, Matthew Sluka. He was a true freshman this year, started out 3-0. No.
He played the Holy Cross.
Really?
Yeah, he transferred from Holy Cross. So he's not a rookie. He only has 1 more year of eligibility. And that's why he's not trying to waste it. That's why, yes, it's all right. But I know what you're going with. But yeah, he only has 1 more year of eligibility.
Oh, I thought I guess his first year there. I thought it was his first year.
His first year at UNLV. But it's an unbelievable thing.
So he decided the red shirt. Wait, so now, I mean, yeah, then he's basically saying that UNLV didn't want to pay him the money.
Correct.
And it has came out since they verbally agreed. There was nothing in writing, and now he is leaving the team that he has led to a 3-0 start. Correct. They think UNLV could be their best year ever. And because of the 12-team playoff, similar to how it was with the New Year's Six Bowl, where there was a slot always for the best group of 5 team.
Liberty.
A Liberty, a Memphis that we played in the Cotton Bowl. It's the same thing with the 12-team playoff. If let's say Michigan ends as the 12th team, well, actually, you kind of get booted out because now the best group of 5 goes in the 12th seed. So it was thought, hey, UNLV, they go undefeated. They're in that 12th spot.
They had a real shot.
Now there was a lot of stuff going on as far as, logistics. And they're saying, hey, is this going to be the future? And we saw it now. USC had a defensive lineman yesterday say he is going to redshirt now and basically opt out of the rest of the year and someone that was playing.
But why? So, why is the USC guy doing that?
It seems
about money.
It seems like it's somewhat about money. I think sometimes people aren't happy with like how much they're being used and they don't want to play just a little bit. And they say, hey, I'm making a business decision. I'm going to redshirt this year and I'm going to go transfer somewhere else.
I could understand the Sluka. I get that one. He has 1 more year of eligibility. I get it. But I'm not a smart man, but I also do know you don't take somebody's word for it in today's culture. You get it in writing. You know what I mean? Because what's the head coach going to tell you, Jeff Byers? Jeff, you come to Penn State, you're going to be a 3-year starter here. I promise you.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The coaches aren't telling them anything because the collectives and the coaches have nothing to do with each other.
No, he said it was a coach that told him.
No.
Well, yeah, they're denying.
The coaches can't.
Who is?
They
Who's
can't get involved at all.
Actually, I believe. Well, they asked. They had the head of the whole entire collective, who also runs our collective. He runs like 80 collectives all around the college sports, and he said that there was no true contract in place, really. I mean, that was the conclusion that was came to.
So he said he was promised $100K.
Yes, the kid.
He
and I will tell you,
what he
here's
was told.
some quotes from the dad.
But then the UNLV came out, and this is where I'm at. And it's turning into a he said, she said, because UNLV said he was given everything he was told he was going to be given on contract. And then then they came out and said it's because they signed with a new agency. And the new agency said, you're worth much more than this. So he stopped playing. So it's like,
here's the quotes from Bob Sluka, his dad. He said, they keep deferring. They keep saying, we don't know. You have to wait. And then he said, then it was like, we're going to give him game checks. So he said, okay, great. We didn't ask for a single dollar more. And he also included that Matt, his son, the quarterback, his living expenses were also not covered. So there's a lot of logistics with that. But I think at the end of the day, here's my question. If you're UNLV and you are on the brink of maybe one of your best seasons ever, you have an opportunity to go to the playoffs, which is worth millions of dollars.
I know where you're going, and the answer is no. You cannot sell your soul to that kid.
So
you
have
104 other kids that are going to do it.
Your starting quarterback is not taken care of.
You need – I mean, maybe I'm old school. That's what, you're the new school kid.
Old school, new school, same school.
There you go.
We are.
Yeah, but I mean – I don't know who are we believing. That's the thing. If the parents said that they weren't given what they were told, but what was written, what was in the contract?
Well,
nothing.
No, because first of all, the coaches seriously can't. I mean, that's how you get yourself in trouble. All of this. So this is where, and we're going to get there sooner rather than later. But all of this stuff, this just reminds me of the player opt-outs with bowl games, and like it in our day, your day playing, my day getting started in this, Goon, right? Like it is not something you could have even fathomed that a player would quit on your team. And I'm not disparaging the players that do it. There's different circumstances. I get it. But I'm saying, under any circumstances, back in the 80s, and like it just isn't something that you could even conceive of. That, oh no, you're healthy, you're ready to go. Well, yeah, but I could be a number one pick, and this is just, well, yeah, but it's the Liberty Bowl, and we're here, man. Like you're with us, and it wasn't. I mean, nobody even thought about it. It wasn't a consideration ever. So all of this stuff is going to end up being taken care of, I believe, although there's still going to be issues, and we can get into it. But my question is still how there's going to be collective bargaining, and there are going to be contracts like that.
Correct.
That's just with
the university
contracts. Well, that's still
that's
to be determined.
Yeah. Yes. It needs to be the university.
But I think there's going to be parameters put on the way the contracts. Yes, I think the contracts will be with the university. I think the universities are going to have agreements with the conferences, and the conferences will have agreements with one another on some of the parameters in place. I don't know what all of that looks like, but I think like you can't have. I mean, right now it truly is the wild, wild west. But once they get some sort of control to whatever degree they do, you can't just have, as we've talked about, Goon, and right now you can have a school like Alabama, and I'm just choosing schools at random, so this is not disparaging anybody, but Alabama, any school, Penn State can take the $22 million that's agreed upon. Well, is not agreed upon yet. Everybody keeps throwing that figure out. That's
true.
What the NCAA and the school said, yeah, that sounds good to us. The student athletes haven't said that. It's not an agreement yet. But let's just go with that for the moment. All right. There are no parameters. So Penn State, I'll flip it around. So Penn State can sit there and say, Yeah, football's king. Sorry to all the other student athletes. 23 million split up among the football players. Starters, you get $1 million each. Everybody else will split it up among you, and nobody else gets anything. And then Alabama could say, well, no, we want to, like all of our athletes deserve something. And, well, both are perfectly fine right now. You can divvy that up any way you want if it's actually approved and all of that stuff. So that at some point, to me, has to change. There has to be some parameters put in place. But I do think with the contracts, there are going to be stipulations in there about you will be paid X amount, provided I don't know what the school parameters are going to be, something with academic progress, but you show up for practice. If you are hurt, you're seeing the trainers that you need to see, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff is going to be spelled out. And if you leave the program before your 4 or 5 year term is up,
sure,
there is some sort of payback clause, either paid by the school, similar to coaches' contracts. So you can buy out a coach's contract. Yep, we're moving on, but there is some sort of payment there, one way or the other, to get things rectified with the given school and the given individual. I also think you're going to see in those contracts, listen, if you are playing for us, if we get to the playoffs or to a bowl game, and what the bowl game system looks like, say 3 years from now, I think is going to be pretty fascinating to watch how that unfolds too. But like, if you are healthy, you must play. Now, where it's going to get, I think, really into the weeds here is you're going to have players saying, yeah, I know I signed the contract, but I don't feel good on the day of the game. Coach, I just, we can't find anything wrong with you. Our medical staff, yeah, but I don't feel right. My head, maybe it's a concussion that I got, or I don't know. I just don't feel right. But you're the number one pick in the draft. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer, but I just don't feel well today. I'm out. Well, how are you going to, like, that stuff? I don't even know how you, and it's going to come up at some point. Somewhere along the line, somebody is going to game the system because we're dealing with human beings. But you're going to have largely, I think, sometime in the next year or two, contracts, salaries, the whole bit, and a lot of this stuff will be off the table. Because right now it's
a player's cap.
They're saying one thing, this side saying the other. It's $100,000 in the overall scheme of things. You're telling me at UNLV,
I know,
$100,000 is where they're going to dig their heels in, and nope, we can't do that for a star quarterback.
You start to put caps on. Guess what that invites back? Boosters are back in the mix doing illegal things, because it's always going to be, how can we get them more money? So if you put caps on, we're back to square one. Now guys are making money. The other thing I want to say is, too, the transparency. That is where the problem lies, because we do not know how much Drew Aller are making, and we do not know how much any superstar around college football is making. Now, we're watching Lamar Jackson right now. I can look up his contract, and I know exactly what that looks like. So I think it's okay. And there's some people that are never going to be okay with college football players making money. But I think where the problem lies is a lot of fans are thinking it's probably more than it really is. Don't get me wrong. There's some guys making millions.
Because ESPN glorifies Shakur Sanders
making of people that
and it's like, not like Joe Schmo, Landon and Goon are not making that money.
No. I think people would be shocked to hear the amount of people that are actually making $1 million from their team. Put aside,
not as much as you think.
Not that many guys are making over $1 million.
Although Schmo just signed that deal with the car dealership. He's making big money now. Joe Schmo.
Oh,
he just signed the big deal. You probably didn't see it.
He's got great representation.
Came across the wire late.
No, Landon. I mean, you're still in school here, Landon. You're amongst the team a little bit. This and that. Not as much as you used to be, but like, what is the feel amongst the players about all this? Like, do they want, like, who is speaking for them? When, like, that's me and Jeff's biggest question.
Yeah.
Is we're talking about this collective bargaining thing. Okay. And the MLB or an NFL Players Association, they are representing the players.
Yeah.
Who is representing the players now?
Someone that wants to make money off of us.
So,
Yeah.
exactly. So
that's
you're
what it is.
having
It's not.
your
It's
dad's
not. No.
buddy who's a
And
street agent.
so that is
making calls on you, and
well, there lies the problem in the NFL, where it is a player-led organization. I've gotten to know Eric Winston, who led it for a while when he was in the league, and it's an active player.
Every college football player should have a sports agent representation.
I
Even
agree,
if it's
but
supplied by the university, just looking out for the kids' interest.
Right. Well, I'm talking about the NFL Player Association,
Yeah.
the NFL PA. If we have a college football PA, the question is, how do you have a current player lead? Because there's way more turnover in college football.
The turnover is
you're
nuts, and
also you're also a kid.
So many more players.
Well, there's so many more players, and you're basically a kid. You're picking, when the grown man you're picking is probably 27, 28 to lead the NFL Player Association, but now you're picking someone that's 20 years old, 21 years old. So that doesn't work. So there clearly is going to have to be other adults that are involved with it, making the decisions.
Yes.
Now the question is, how do you find the ones that are trying to get as little out of it as possible for themselves and actually care about the players?
You have figured out what me and Ironhead have trying to figure out for 3 years, and that is we know nothing. I would not want James Franklin's job. I would not want Pat Kraft's job right now because of so much. There's just so much out there. But they have to be worried. Yeah, and that's the thing. And then you're going to have, you're going to hire a GM, which is, I think, what everybody should be doing.
Yeah.
But now you have a head coach. I'm not saying James. I'm not going to say Joe Paterno. I'm not going to say, Joe Schmo is a coach. A lot of coaches are control freaks. And now they're going to want their team, their program in this. And now who is answering to who? Is the general manager answering to the head coach, or is the head coach answering to the general manager? And what's the coach? I mean, I'm sure James Franklin would just be happy as hell just to say, I'm a football coach. I want to go recruit great players and coach football. I don't want to have to sit here and recruit the same kids every year to stay on my team. It sucks.
Again, everything. So.
And we're talking about football now. Imagine going down to baseball or with Jeffrey with wrestling.
But
it's just
the
problem.
So this whole thing, and I mean, we're where we're at now, and I get it.
Yeah.
But all of this, if there was just an iota of foresight by the NCAA going back to the 70s, certainly in the 80s,
Jeff,
like
what are you thinking? Come on,
in the 80s. I mean, it was talked about in the 80s. Certainly by the early 90s, it's like,
and it was being
this
done.
is the route it's going. Yes. So why not? And again, I get it. It didn't happen, and we're dealing with
greed and selfishness.
Yes. Yep. But because of that, so we went from one extreme where it was too much discretion that the coaches had and that the universities had. They had too much control. They did over the players.
Sure.
The players, you couldn't. Couldn't earn anything off your name, image, and likeness.
Okay.
You couldn't go to another school unless we gave you approval, and even then, you had to sit out a year if it was a conference, like all that stuff. It was too much. But the problem is, by not addressing it, not ever getting out ahead of it at all, now we've gone to the other extreme. So there was too much leverage that the coaches had. I think any reasonable person would look at that and agree with that now, in retrospect. But now the players here they have all of the leverage. I can decide, oh, yeah, you want me to play, coach? No, not today. Sorry. I've played my 5 games and I want to retain the red shirt because I got a bigger offer coming at the school next year. Well, yeah, but we're undefeated, dude. Like we could be playing. Yeah, but I'm holding. They have all of the leverage. You can't make that kid go do it. It's a bowl game. Yeah, coach, I'm playing. It's the day of the game. You know what? I talked to my agent last night. I'm out. But we've been preparing all week with you. Like you've been practicing. Yeah, sorry about that. My bad, coach. See ya. Good luck with everything. The leverage has swung so far the other way, and it is ludicrous.
Yes, I'm telling you right now. In my interviews all this week, amongst talking to all my teammates, all these guys, and we're on these different podcasts together. Every single one of us would have left Penn State at one point or another. Like when you were like Kijana Carter talks about her freshman year, we're beating Cincinnati 81-0, and Joe's like, "Hey, we're redshirting all you guys." Kijana was furious. He goes, "I didn't come here to redshirt. Come here to play football.
Right.
Let me in the game." If he had the ability to have a no repercussion transfer, he was gone.
Yeah.
Marco, me, Jeff. I mean, I don't know if I would have left, but I mean, there's times where I was like, this place sucks. I'm out of here. The old man's just too much. He's crazy. You know, that type of, at every point, every college kid says, I want to leave. I don't think I can play here. I'm not cut out for this. You know, coach don't like me. He's not playing me, this and that. It was so hard to transfer back in the day. So hard. We had one guy leave my class, and it was a guy named J.T. Morris. And he left his second year and went to Liberty because he was homesick and missed his girlfriend.
Yeah.
He had to beg, and plead with Joe to leave Penn State. And then Joe was like, well, you're not leaving. I want you here. Imagine saying that. You can't leave.
Yeah.
I mean, that's power. You know, and then Joe, he wielded that little carrot above your face for a long time, and that was, hey, this is playing time. Do you want this?
It was too much one way, but it's gone.
No, now it's completely
too far.
Now you get yelled at, and the next day, Landon Tangwell got yelled at yesterday by Coach Troutwin, so he's done. I'm out. I want to Maryland. I'm going to play water polo in Annapolis.
That's true. I did do that, actually.
He never got yelled at, though. That's the story. Everybody's like, no, Landon does everything perfectly.
I will say I never had a dawn patrol. I never had anything like that. I really did never get – of course, I messed up on the field, but I did never get in any trouble, and I tried to keep the missed assignments to a minimum on the field.
Wise course, indeed. Yeah. We'll take a break here. We're coming right back with a final segment. We'll talk, at the same time Penn State is playing on Saturday night, there's a game involving the SEC, and we'll talk about that when we come
Coast
back.
into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
Guys.
You going to there about
And we
5:30?
welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. It
That
is
Tangwell
okay.
kid. Jeez.
It's heading behind the wall. As
Oh,
we speak.
man.
Again,
Kid's good,
special
man.
show airing tonight, 6 to 7.
Yep.
And benefiting the Devon
Devon
Stills,
Stills Society, his
Foundation.
daughter's foundation. Yeah,
Yep.
man. Just, I was here. I was telling Landon about this earlier. So when Devon was here was when I was in the weight room, working in the weight room, and it sort of took a little shine, a really big liking to him. He was a Delaware kid. His parents were from North Philly, so really good kid. Just so big and so strong. He didn't realize how big he was, but I think his freshman year he blew his ACL out, and he missed the whole year and had to do the rehab. And then we're in camp his second year, and he broke his leg, and it was like, okay, there's a whole nother year. And I sat with him probably for a half hour. He was crying, and it was just like he just didn't want to go through this whole rehab process again and this and that, and I understand. And I trained him every day. Like the team would go out and practice, and me and him would go in the weight room, and we'd lift and stuff like that. And I knew how to handle him a little bit. Like I didn't need to like hammer him and press him and stuff like that. I just had to keep his mind steady and mind ready to come back the next year and be ready to ball, because he was, like I said, two years he sat on the sidelines hurt, and that's demoralizing as an athlete, and having to get his mental get back into the game. He has come to me many times, and he was actually a member of like the Alumni Association Council. I think he may have been the homecoming court guy at one point, but he specifically looked up my wife, and he went there and says, "Man, your husband saved my career here." He goes, "I was done. I was going home." And like I said, everybody has that time when you're so down in the ditches, and it's like, if it's so easy to just leave and transfer, then you just do it. But it was hard to do it then, and I got him through that and stuff like that, and I'll do anything I can for that kid and his daughter. So she's doing very well, I've heard. His foundation, they have a golf tournament tomorrow, all that stuff.
Yeah. So again, we'll have a special
I didn't have anything
show.
else planned the whole weekend. You know what I mean, Jeff?
I know you did. Nothing going on this weekend. So we'll have, again, a special edition of Behind the Wall with Landon and Goon here coming up from 6 to 7 this evening.
Are we going to be on the Fox?
Here. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. We're going to.
You're not. I thought you'd be going live from the State College High Parade, man.
We'll run that as well. Oh, so that was my error. This is not homecoming week for State College.
Oh,
that's later in October. I thought they were both this week, and I was
that would have been a
very
tough Friday
wrong.
night having a high school homecoming, and then
thought
a big
it was
our homecoming.
Yeah. Anyways, so yep.
I remember my first
Completely not
year
the
at
case.
Byers. Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, we were off the air. We were just talking about this hurricane coming up through the south right now. My Lord, dude. I don't think I've ever seen something so big in my life. Like that is, I know it may not be as powerful as a Katrina or as an Andrew and stuff like that, or Hugo or whatever, hit a couple of years ago, but it is a large area. It's going to get really, really wet and screwed up this weekend. I mean, like a quarter, maybe like a third of the country.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a crazy big swath that is going to be impacted, and the surges that they're saying are going to hit Florida, or could hit anyway, or going to be pretty devastating. So we'll keep an eye on that. Penn State, Illinois, obviously the focus here, an important game for Penn State, and it's a big one, at least in the moment. We'll see how it plays out, Goon. I really, I think this is where you're going to start to see a couple of things. One is how good this Penn State team is, but I think this is where you're really going to start to see Andy Kotelnicki's imprint on the offense in particular, and Tom Allen's ability to make some changes and ability to adapt as well here on Saturday night. And I really think, I don't think it's going to be a crazy blowout. I'm kind of with Landon. I think it's going to be a competitive game. You're never going to feel like Penn State's really in grave danger, but not with a lot of breathing room until some point there midway through the third quarter, late third, maybe even the early fourth, and then they'll get enough breathing room. Again, I that 17.5 to 19.5, that feels like it's but I think it's right. I mean, it is. I agree with you. I really thought 9-ish would be what the spread would be, but at the end of the day, I'm calling 38-17 Penn State, so I have it at 21 for the.
I went 34-10.
Yep. So we're in the same
24, 20 to 25
same ballpark.
Yep.
I think Illinois' offense will have a little more. I think they'll be able to get a drive or two together over the course of the four quarters. I do think Penn State is going to change some things up and get some different pressures, not just on Altmaier. I think they're going to. That running game of Illinois versus that Penn State defensive front is, to me, a really important watch in terms of trying to assess Penn State's chances here of ultimately getting to the playoffs and doing some damage there. That they need to be able to match up here with, again, what I think is a good, but not, I mean, this isn't a Georgia or, a Texas offensive line that's coming in here. I think it's a very good unit. I think they're very well coached. I think it is a legitimate test, but it's a test that Penn State needs to be able to pass, my opinion, if they want to be one of the final 8 or 4 standing here.
We match up well with them.
I think we do.
I think Altmaier's 4 interceptions last year are playing into this Vegas spread, in my opinion. And don't kid yourself, they're definitely playing in his head also. Trust me.
Yeah.
But Kotelnicki, what he did with Kansas last year to open the season, and that was completely embarrassed Illinois because, I think Illinois was a 17-point favorite in that game. And at one point, they were down 30 points.
Listen, I really am excited to see what this Penn State offense does Saturday night. I think this is going to be the first time, and it's looked fine. It's been good through the first 3 games. I think Saturday night is when you see, okay, look out. That's what I think we're going to see going into this thing. I think it's going to be fun, and I think Nicholas Singleton in particular is going to have himself a night on Saturday before it's all said and done.
I'm interested. I'm pretty jacked to see it. Not just for what I got going on, but I love the night atmosphere. It's a little overcast, a little bit of rain throughout the day.
So that's everybody here is going to be focused on that. Now, I think nationally, at the same time as Penn State is taking on Illinois, there's a game that I think everybody is kind of circled in on here involving the SEC. And listen, I think Brian Kelly has LSU's team at a point where they're going to handle South Alabama here Saturday night, Goon. Look out. LSU, I think, is going to win this game convincingly with all of the eyes of the country watching.
Yep.
Mark it down now. I have LSU winning by at least 3 touchdowns over South Alabama.
I'm telling you, watch out for South Alabama.
All right, now,
they gave the Bama boys everything they could handle 2 weeks ago.
So
what
look at this. What was
Landon's
did you know
parting
Georgia
gift?
and Alabama are playing here Saturday night too? There's another game in the SEC.
Did you hear what he said?
What's that?
First time Alabama's been a home dog since 2009.
So I do think this is a fascinating game because, let's face it, Georgia, and we've seen the danger of overreaction, right? Oh my gosh, Michigan's terrible. Look at USC, they're great. Not so much.
Yep.
So, but Georgia did not look like the vaunted Bulldogs in that Kentucky game.
No.
It's the only game I've seen, and I didn't see all of it, but I saw parts of that game. I'm like, that doesn't look like a great team. One game, one snapshot, I get it. I think Georgia is right there with the best in the country. I do think Alabama made the absolute best hire it could have to replace Nick Saban. I really do. I think DeBoer is comfortable in the big picture setting. I think he has the confidence. I think he has the locker room, all of that. This game, I do think is just going to be a whole lot of fun for folks. I mean, it'll be fun for Alabama and Georgia, but for football fans who don't get to see, believe it or not, this game very often, even though they're both in the same conference, I just think it is going to be entertaining. And because it's at Alabama, Goon, I think Alabama is going to end up finding a way to win this. I've really been impressed with Milroe and his progression. I think he is as dynamic a player as there is out there in college football. And I think this is going to be the game where Alabama fans say, oh, it's going to be okay. Nick Saban left. That's a bummer. We loved him. But it's going to be okay. I think Alabama wins this. Now, I do. I think Alabama will.
Saban had Georgia's number in the regular season. Saban did. And this is how Kalen DeBoer becomes a Alabama legend if he can continue that.
Yeah.
Because everything says Georgia should win this game.
It does.
But I'm with you. I saw that Georgia team play Kentucky, and I was like, they're not that
well. And I've seen Milroe, and it's at Alabama. And that night atmosphere there is going to be something special as well. Again, it's going to be a fun game. I'm just told for some reason there's been a national push and money is coming in like crazy for Georgia.
Oh, boy.
Oh, they heard my pick.
Ironhead made
That's
his
what
pick.
happened. I really do. I like Alabama.
I'm telling you, there's a story, right? I'm telling you that my buddy at home who was a phone answerer, if you know what I mean. He said that when Lee Corson would make his picks on College Game Day, the phone would
there you go.
It was actually funny. So congratulations.
Yep. Somebody's got to take over
you
that
could have
role.
like 4 more strokes before they could actually take you off the air.
Well, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Also, a couple of things.
Who you got? Birds got the Bucks. They got a little revenge game on Sunday
down
at 1.
Tampa. Hopefully, Tampa's
okay. Not underwater. Yeah,
but by that point, Sunday afternoon. I think that game will be closer than maybe you think going in, but I like the Eagles' chances.
They ended the Eagles' season last year, so there's a little bit of revenge in my world.
This game actually worries me with the Steelers and Colts because everything is. It's like, well, yeah, Pittsburgh's rolling.
My one time
struggling a little bit
every 4 years. I'm a Steelers fan,
but I think the Steelers' defense is going to cause all kinds of problems for Richardson, and I think it's going to be a very close game. Like I do think it'll come down to like a last-second field goal. But look who we have as our place kicker. I'll take my chances with
Penn State
Boswell.
and Will Freeze has got to go against T.J. Watt.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's a tough matchup, man. But we'll see. We're going to see how Will Freeze is because I really just watched Watt last week, just straight up, just watched him, and my God, is he really? I mean. Can you say he's gotten better? I mean, I think that he is actually better than he was. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I have never been like that kind of guy, like, oh my God. But you've been pushing on him, and I'm like, nah, there's no way. But dude, wow, he is disruptive. He makes things happen out there.
And his ability to make a big play in the big moment. It is uncanny.
And he's healthy
from that position. Yeah.
Because the Bosa brothers do the same thing, but they're literally hurt every third like series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
By the way, Pirates lost today in case what else would you expect? They wrap up their
home season,
home schedule.
Who they got left?
With another loss and
3 more games left. And I do want to say before we get up there, MLB has put the Braves and the Mets in a real situation because of this hurricane. They canceled. They canceled 2 games, and they're playing Monday, a double header on Monday,
the day before
playoffs.
So the winner, yes, yes.
Is that winner take all of those? Is that what it is?
It's awful. Well,
or are they both?
Well, I mean, it could. It depends what happens here this weekend, but yes, it could be that.
Phillies and Phillies clinched a bye last night because of your Buccos.
Yeah, and they're still Phillies and Dodgers still battling it out to see who will be the number one seed. Overall seed in the National League playoffs. Folks, have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And we'll be back to talk all about it on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
The Center Hall Farm Store has been serving Center County and beyond for well over a half century. A small family business, the Center Hall Farm Store specializes in animal nutrition and manufactures its feed fresh using local ingredients. Get the best in horse, cow, pig, chicken, and bird feeds. If you're not already a customer, stop in and see why so many of your neighbors are. The Center Hall Farm Store at 110 West Allison Street in Center Hall, or call us at 814-364-1393.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
2 of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Ready to be part of something bigger? Come pave the road to success at Glen O'Habaker and discover a career where your hard work and determination can build a bigger, better future. Our team believes we can build a stronger future together. Join us at Glen O'Habaker, where we value teamwork on the field and on the job. Go to GOHcareers.com to apply. GOHcareers.com. And best of luck to all the Center County sports teams all season long from everyone at Glen O'Habaker.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU. Timberland Federal Credit Union. A credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The